Welcome to the Young Turks. It is going to be a fun and exciting Friday show for you guys. We have a lot of twists and turns here. I have very good news in today's show. I also have pretty bad news. It's a good mix. It's going to be a roller coaster ride. And then, as usual, what we're going to do in different ways is break down how the government works and how, unfortunately, this is part of the bad news, how we continue to get robbed. Jonathan Kim's movie review in the third hour about the military-industrial complex, I think is going to be an excellent example of how our money gets removed from us by some of the richest people in the country. Look, and you know, some of these talk show hosts are very rich, and so, you know, they forget people's pain, right? So, for example, Rush Limbaugh is like, what? When I went to the hospital, I don't even have insurance. I just paid for it myself. But it was no big deal because it was just the cost of one SUV. And then when pressed on it, he was like, all right, maybe the cost of half an SUV. As if like, what's the big deal? Come on. Just like, I don't know, $60,000. How much are SUVs these days? The ones Rush buys are probably, you know, 100, 200,000. But, you know, or maybe half of it, 30,000, nothing. And so he's lost all track of how real people live. Not us. This afternoon, coming to the studio, for the millionth time in a row, my car doesn't start. Man, do I know your frustration? Do I know your anger, etc.? And I'm like, oh. Somebody asked me in a postgame, I keep going back to this. Do you not care about money? Why did you choose this path rather than remaining a lawyer where you would have been rich, etc.? No. Look, I didn't want to be a lawyer. I wanted to do this. I love doing this. But do I want the money? Of course. I want to buy a new car. I want a car that starts. Is it too much to ask? So, look, Bill Clinton, I don't know if he was kidding or he just said it if he was a politician, but I mean it. I feel your pain. Okay. So now that's a little personal frustration for me getting to the studio. But I want to start with a story that's both funny and really serious at the same time. I'm playing it for you off the top because the interaction's a little funny in the video we're about to show you, okay? But the underlying story is very, very serious about South Africa. I'm going to give you some of the details after we watch the video. But in this video, you have the white guy is the AWB Secretary General. His name is Andre Visagi, if I'm saying that right. And the AWB is a paramilitary group. And so, and he's going to be talking to a woman who is part of the movement that wants to give blacks more rights in South Africa. And she's with the African National Congress, if I'm not mistaken about that. And then there's a moderator and a host as well, and he gets into it. So first let's watch the video, and then I'll tell you the implications.
It is still you versus us.
But can't you understand that we have outer perspective? It's a real fact.
Do you care about the starving millions of African people in this country?
I care more.
Do you care about the farm workers who are being oppressed in this country?
Do you care about the fact... Don't interrupt me. I've finished. Thank you. Bye. Where is it? Bye.
Okay.
And you won't dare.
Mr. Visagi,
you won't dare interrupting me once more.
Take
away this man.
Thank you very much. Touch me, and you'll be in trouble. Touch me on my studio.
You touched me.
Touch me on my studio. Touch me on my studio.
You touched me.
And
take away his arm.
Touch me on my studio.
Take away his arm from me.
Touch me on my studio. Touch me on my studio.
I touch you on your studio.
Touch me on my studio.
I touch you on your studio.
You don't do that.
Don't touch him. Wait.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
I am not finished with you.
Mr. Visagi, stop threatening this woman, Mr. Visagi. I'm telling you, stop it now. Would you stop it now, Mr. Visagi?
Touch me on my studio. Touch me on my studio. Already, the YouTube has remixes. It's too easy. Too easy, Drill Sergeant. Okay. But, okay, so that's the funny side of it. I mean, anytime somebody repeats something in a video, there's going to be a remix, right? And I'll touch you on your studio. There was and then when he throws the mic, he's like, so there was hilarious parts of that. Now, here comes the unfortunate parts. Okay, look, first of all, you get the sense of, now remember this guy's from a paramilitary group, and you know how the paramilitary groups were in South Africa while apartheid was still going on. it's so obvious he still has that attitude. He tells the woman, "You dare interrupt me," right? And then he's on that guy's studio, right? As you can tell from the video, and he says, "Take away this man." Did you notice that? The white guy said, "Take away this man." Who's he telling that to? What do you mean? It's his studio. It's like somebody comes in here and says, "Take away this man," to me. I'm like, who's taking me away? He's got this attitude of like, you know what? I rule this place. And so if a black man touches me or challenges me, you take him away, right? And how did this young black woman interrupt me? Now, you might say, hey, you know, she interrupted him too much. Okay, but it happens, okay? You don't storm off like that. I mean, have you ever seen American television? So, and then lastly, the scary part was when he came back to her and he said, "I'm not done with you yet." I mean, when that used to happen back in the day in South Africa, that was a very, very serious thing. Now it's unfortunately pretty serious these days as well. But watching that video made me think, oh, thank God we got rid of apartheid. Because that son of a bitch in the old days would have gotten to do whatever the hell he wanted and would have had all the privilege and would have abused it to no end, right? Now, unfortunately, as things are developing now and passions are heating up in South Africa, we getting crazy guys from both sides. Now, there's a guy by the name of Julius Malema. He's the leader of the ANC Youth League. And, man, he is saying and encouraging people to do crazy stuff. He's kind of like the Glenn Beck of South Africa. He's singing songs about how you should kill the Boers, right? And then next thing you know, somebody killed one of them. This guy named Eugene Terreblanche was not a good guy. He was the leader of this paramilitary group earlier, and he's a white supremacist, right? But they killed him. And so when the rest of the ANC was like trying to calm Julius Malema down, and they said, listen, stop singing songs like that. He had a press conference, he sung a song, all right, let's not kill the Boers, let's beat the Boers. He sang a song about beating the Boers. And then a reporter from the BBC asked him a question, and his reaction to it was chilling. I mean, I looked at that and I was like, man, this guy is going to cause a lot of trouble. Because he had the attitude of, how dare you ask me a question? You white man don't get to ask me questions anymore. The question was a perfectly legitimate one. Kicked him out of the press conference, threatened him. And, man, it's scary what's happening in South Africa. I mean, the World Cup's about to start there, but it's a little bit of a powder keg from both sides here, extremists on both sides. And, you know me, I love Nelson Mandela, and I think he did an unbelievable job of uniting that country. And to see it suffer this kind of disunity, at least on the extremes, is very discouraging. And I hope, or discouraging, I should say. And I hope that they begin to hammer this out and reasonable minds prevail. So in the midst of a funny video, a very serious story. And look, I'm telling you, man, I got my eye on Julius Malema because that guy, as I saw in a video here we don't have for you, thought that's the kind of guy that can grab power, and if he does, it can cause a lot of trouble for blacks, whites, everyone, right? So we'll see how that develops. Okay, now, we'll start out with a little bit of bad news, I guess, in that sense. But I want to go to good news. This is the story that I was most excited about today. The AFL-CIO is organizing a protest. You know who they're going to protest? The Wall Street bankers. Oh, thank God. Finally. They're going to organize about 10,000 people to go down to Wall Street and protest on the issues and saying, hey, wait a minute, you took the money and you didn't do what you were supposed to. And they say, look, you thought the Tea Party protests were going to be big. Wait till you get a load of us. We're going to do a march on Wall Street, and we're going to demand real financial reform. Oh, that's my kind of talk. I love that. Finally, a protest that's aimed at the right people, the right institutions that are asking for the right and sensible ideas. What they say is, for example, they want a financial transaction tax. So that's a tiny percentage of the trades that they make. It gives them an incentive not to over-speculate, and it raises a tremendous amount of money that we can use to pay us back for the money that we gave them through easy credit, direct TARPs, backdoor bailouts, etc. For bonuses that are above $50,000, there's another bonus tax. And it's not much. It's just the latest version in Congress that doesn't have much of a chance of passing at this point, unfortunately, is that above $50,000 in bonuses, you get taxed 50%, which is not that much higher than what they'd be taxed for that anyway. These are all very reasonable requests. It's directed at the right people. And ultimately what they want to do is lower the amount of risk that these guys are taking so the system doesn't blow up and the AFL-CIO members are not hurt, because when the system blows up, they go, oh, sorry, we got to fire all the workers. And the rich guys and the executives, they don't get hurt. Told you yesterday about the story of Joseph Cassano, or a couple of days ago when he was the head of the AIG Financial Products Unit. He walked away with over $300 million. So he doesn't care if all the other people are fired at the AIG, but the AFL-CIO care because they're the guys who represent all those workers. But it's not just about their workers either, it's about all of us. So finally, we have a protest and a march going in the right place, and they're calling it the March on Wall Street. It's on April 29th, and you know what? I encourage all of you to go. If you could make it out, I'm with them on this, because they're got the right strategy and the right target. April 29th, March on Wall Street. You know what?
Release the Kraken.
Let's go get him. JR.
This is a good opportunity. I remember when you, maybe a month or two ago, when you were talking about, if the Tea Party activists are this, energetic about certain issues, they should at least be on the right ones. So you said certain issues like how we're all being robbed in the financial industry and everything all that, and the banks and everything, if they actually know what's going on, this kind of energy can go to something else. So if it's something like this I think is a good opportunity to see. Well, first off, I'm going to predict how they're going to react to it because they're being told what to do. But it'll give people a good idea to see where people stand and why they stand it, because it's hard to really fight against this. But obviously there's going to be people fighting against it if it has the kind of momentum that they're saying it's going to have.
No, that's a great point, JR, and I'm glad you brought that up. Because I hadn't remembered that. You're exactly right. This is what I was talking about. Look, the Tea Party guys, if you say you're angry about the bailouts, this is your opportunity. It could be real bipartisanship. Let's do it. I mean, you're more than welcome to come. Let's go. Let's do it together. I mean, there's no reason why you should be against this. One of the things that they want to do is they want a strong and independent consumer financial protection agency to protect you from the excessive risks that the bankers are taking. Remember, this was the original reason for the Tea Party guys, because they're saying it's too much government. Now you might say, oh, wait a minute, protection agency, that's government. No. The government bailed these guys out. They got to walk away scot-free after causing the economic downfall. You should be livid about that. So you should want some sort of protection to make sure that doesn't happen again. Because right now, as it stands, it's going to happen again. And they're going to take your money again. So Tea Party people, let's go. Let's unite, right? Now, my guess is your leaders are now going to try their damnedest to make sure you don't join this. They're going to say, oh, you don't want to join those labor guys, those socialists, those Marxist Maoists, right? No, don't protest Wall Street. Don't do it. No, don't touch the bankers. Please. That's what they're going to tell you. And now let's see, okay? Did you really mean what you said, or are you a sucker that winds up getting used by the richest people in America and these bankers? Because if you had any integrity and you believed in any of the things you said, you would definitely join this protest. Let's see what you got, Tea Party folks. My guess is, and I hope I'm proven wrong, my guess is not much. My guess is you will easily be diverted. And you'll say, well, no, socialist, well, banker, take my money. But I hope I'm wrong, man. I hope I am. And I hope, that it turns into 20,000. Tea Party guys in the AFL-CIO join to say, hey, these are the guys that took our money, and it's unacceptable. All right, I'm very curious to see how it goes. April 29th. Can I make it out there? Man, I got jazzed up by that. That's a great story. And one last thing on it. The other reason I'm excited is because it's such a breath of fresh air to see somebody actually going in the right direction. It's, because the progressive groups in this country have been so misdirected. The right wing gets directed into helping corporate America very cleverly, and we've explained that a million times, right? But the left wing, it's not that they're being misdirected, they're more undirected, okay? They're all like, oh, yeah, support Democrats. What are we supporting them for? What's happening? Oh, yeah, where do we protest? I don't know. Nobody's got any buses. I don't know where we're going, right? And it just kind of fizzles out, and they don't go in the right direction, and they just waste a lot of money. In healthcare reform, those progressive groups, you don't know, they spent tens of millions of dollars. And what did we get in return? A very corporate-friendly bill that had none of the things that those organizations said they were fighting for. Public option, Medicare buy-in, lower costs, etc. They didn't win on any of those issues. How did they spend those tens of millions of dollars? They threw them in the garbage. They wasted them on namby-pamby patty cakes. Well, this is at least not wasting people's times or effort. It's going in the right direction. So that's why it's a bigger story than I think people realize. Okay, so you could tell I'm excited by it. All right, you know what? Let's, obviously, by the way, Supreme Court Justice Paul Stevens is retiring. We're going to tell you a lot about that a little bit later in the program. Let's take a quick break here, and then I want to come back with one of the coal miners' moms. She had a lot of people actually in her family die. You know, I found the video of her talking about her son who passed away, heart-wrenching in a lot of ways. Talk about misdirected, you know. Anyway, so let's do that right when we come back. Young Turks. Welcome to TYT. I am your host, Cenk Uygur, J.R. Jackson producer, Dave Kohler directing. I got a lovely hour ahead for you guys. Interesting news to start with. Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens is retiring. He made it official today, and it's 11 days before his 90th birthday. So he's been hanging in there for quite a while. He got nominated by Ford to the court, and he's been serving ever since. Since 1975. So he's not playing. He's really old school. Okay, he's so old school he fought in World War II. He's so old school that he says he was at Wrigley in the 1932 World Series where Babe Ruth pointed to where he was going to hit the home run. Okay, damn, that's old school. Okay, so, and what's great about Stevens is that he wrote all of his decisions. The other justices, they have incredibly smart clerks. I'm not blaming them. But they hand off the decisions, go, okay, you clerks, you write the decisions, and then I'll edit them, make sure it's my voice and what I think is right, right? Stevens is like, yeah, step aside, Butch. He writes all of his decisions and then hands it off to the clerks to edit and to discuss he says that's his favorite part where they get into the discussion to make sure that he's got it exactly right, and they get into little debates. So he takes his job very, very seriously. Very cerebral guy. Started out as, you know, appointed by a Republican, started out as conservative to moderate. And as I told you earlier in the week, Stevens actually was one of the guys who gave corporations in America more power. He voted in a 5-4 decision to say that they have First Amendment rights. That was back in 1978. Since then, that guy who was considered a little center-right has stayed, in my opinion, pretty close to where he is, but he's moved on some issues because he was against corporate power in the last case, Citizens United, that they discussed. So he's moved a little bit to the left, but meanwhile, the rest of the court moved so far to the right that he's now considered the most liberal member. Okay, so the Clinton appointments, the Obama appointments, etc., they got nothing on Stevens. And hey, there he is in a Cubs uniform. He loves baseball. And he apparently takes his cases, by the way, for nearly half the year when the court's out of session, lives in Fort Lauderdale. Takes him on the beach and reads them there. Okay, I mean, there's a lot to love about Stevens, even if you don't agree with his decision-making, his politics, his ideology, whatever, right? So it's a great way of showing you the shift in the court. So now, of course, the main question comes, who's Obama going to pick to replace him? The conservatives instantly on the warpath talking about how, well, you know what, I know when we were in charge we said filibustering judicial nominees was the most despicable thing that anybody could ever do. But they started it, so yeah, totally. I mean, we're going to have to see who it is, but, you know, a filibuster is quite likely. Okay, so we're going to have a massive, it appears, it is likely that we're going to have a massive fight over who the nominee is. Now, do you have a sense of how Obama handles massive fights? Well, he doesn't like them. That's confrontation. It's very unbipartisan. So instantly the discussion is Obama is going to pick someone that is somewhat in the middle, that is bipartisan, that neither side can object to. Wang, wang, wang. All right, now look, hold on. Let's be a little optimistic here. Okay, now he picked Sotomayor, and Sotomayor got through fairly easily. Yeah, there was fighting back and forth, but they didn't even filibuster. I lost a bet on that. That's one prediction I got wrong. Okay, and you know what? Sotomayor on the court has been significantly progressive. There's been, as far as I can see, nothing overly conservative about her. Nothing that So I mean, he got someone on the court which seems to be doing a fairly good job. I mean, for coming at it from our perspective, right? My perspective on the court is a little mixed, but I'm going to leave that aside for now. So if you wanted him to pick someone progressive, he did the job with Sotomayor. So credit where credit is due. So let's not get, and I'm saying this mainly to myself, overly pessimistic too soon, right? As we see the press reports about how he's going to pick someone, quote unquote, in the middle. And now is he, he has to be a little bit savvier about this, but because elections are coming up too. So that's why they keep talking about that. Like, one, you're going to have the elections coming up. Two, I'm just reporting what the press is writing, right? Two, the Republicans already have bruised feelings over health care reform, so they're more likely to pick a fight. Okay, come on. All right, and three, Obama wants to keep his success going, so he doesn't want to take too much of a risk here. If he loses a Supreme Court nominee, well, then that stops his momentum. I never believe in any of that stuff, but everybody in Washington is obsessed by it and believes in it. So those are all the things that are pushing him in the direction of picking someone more moderate. So now, how will we know which way he went? Look, if he picks someone like Cass Sunstein, who is brilliant, who in fact is in a lot of ways is moderate. He's got some very progressive positions, but he's got positions that are very market friendly that conservatives should actually like, and a lot of conservatives who are smart and intellectual do like him. Okay, so but it would be good if he picked Cass Sunstein, because that would be saying, you know what, I'm going to take on whoever I need to take on, and I'm going to put a really smart jurist on the Supreme Court who's going to be sophisticated and make the right decisions. Okay. Why is he not going to pick Cass Sunstein? Glenn Beck has already attacked him. The chance of Obama picking someone that's already on Beck's blackboard is so low, I don't know why I'm even discussing it. And now look, I'm being a little tough on Obama to say the least, because I'm accusing him of being intimidated by Beck. But the proof is in the pudding. I mean, Beck went, Van Jones, communist, boo, 9/11. And Obama panicked and threw him overboard instantly. He was like, boom, oh, Van Jones fell over. Oh, that's such a shame. What happened? So, and when Beck attacked Cass Sunstein, and this was a couple of months back, even some conservatives were like, what are you attacking Cass Sunstein for? That doesn't make any sense. But he's written a lot. And when you write a lot, you make interesting academic arguments. And when you do, someone like Beck, who's his job is to demonize people, goes, oh, aha, do you know what he once said? He said this and this. You putting aside the fact that it's a hypothetical in a law review article, right? And pretending that Sunstein actually said. So the reason I'm telling you this now is, as a prelude, if he picks Cass Sunstein, you have to give Obama a tremendous amount of credit for being bold and brave and saying, look, I'm going to pick the smartest guy and who's actually the reason I keep calling him smart is because he's not a doctrinarian. He isn't like, okay, I'm a progressive, so I'm going to go with all the progressive positions. I'm a conservative, I'm going to go with all the conservative positions. No, he's an independent thinker. And, if I was picking Supreme Court justices, I don't know enough of the details of all these guys, but I'd put Sunstein probably at the top of the list for consideration, okay? Then I'd have to see more about his leanings, etc. Now, if he doesn't want to fight, he'll probably pick Elana Kagan. Now, she's a woman. That makes it a little easier. She's 49. That means she's younger than some of the other candidates. She'll be on the court longer. That's an advantage. She doesn't have a lot of articles written about any of the issues. She doesn't have decisions that people can pick apart nearly as much as the others. And she was mainly the associate White House counsel for the Clinton administration. She was professor and dean of Harvard Law School, and she was the Solicitor General of the United States. These are all government positions, okay? So there, she didn't have to write opinions. She didn't have to write law review articles. So she's safer. It'll be harder to attack her. So likely, he'll go with Elana Kagan. Now, there are 9 other choices, and he can go in many different directions. And whenever, this is the stuff on which direction he's going to go. If I make a prediction, it's the stuff you should trust me on the least. Because like sports, with this, there's a lot of things we don't know. We don't know if the quarterback secretly hurt his pinky and then that winds up throwing off the whole game. We don't know if the star running back has the flu. We don't know a lot of these things. That's why sports betting is so hard. And in Supreme Court vetting, there's just a ton of stuff that the vetters wind up finding out that we don't know. So we'll see how it develops, but no matter who he picks, even if he picks a safe choice, the Alana Kagan, etc., you know that a firestorm is coming. I mean, the Republican Party is standing on top of a hill looking at Hades going, should I? Yeah.
Release the Kraken!
They can't wait to release the Kraken on whoever he picks. So that'll be fun, especially because it's an election year. Oh, and especially because they're being driven by the Tea Party guys. It's going to be a mess. In other words, fun for us. Okay, let's hope it winds up good for the country. All right, now, story that we've been following is Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, who then, of course, became Pope Benedict. His involvement in covering up the pedophilia cases inside the Catholic Church. Now, the Catholic Church pretends to be outraged by this. Like, how dare you accusing him of covering these cases? Well, he was in charge of the committee that was looking at these cases, and oftentimes, as we explained earlier in the show, he seemed to have covered them up. Like, he didn't do the punishment, he didn't kick the priests out, et cetera, et cetera. So the reason that the Catholic Church is lashing out so much is because they can see that they're clearly wrong, and their facts are not on their side, so they, come at it even stronger, as if they're like aggrieved. So what's going to hurt their cause is the latest case. An Associated Press exclusive on this. Apparently, at the time, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger was in charge when Reverend Stephen Kiesel here in the United States in the Oakland area was, let's put it this way, the people in his superiors asked to have him defrocked and removed from the church. Why? Among other reasons, in 1978, he had tied up a couple of young boys and molested them. And he had gotten 3 years of probation. I don't know why tying up or molesting young boys in a church gets you only 3 years probation, but that's what happened. So in 1981, they asked the Vatican, hey, can you please remove this guy? Ratzinger, who's in charge at that time, takes 4 years to respond. First of all, that's egregious right there. They ask him 3 different times after the initial request. They're like, please, can you tell us what to do here? In fact, his superiors say to the superiors of Kiesel are asking Ratzinger, hey, it's doing us more damage to keep him inside the church than to kick him out. But Ratzinger views his job as protecting the church. He writes back to them, yeah, he's kind of young to get defrocked, and I think we're going to need more careful review and more time to review this. But in the meantime, he says, he urged the bishop to provide Kiesel with, quote, as much paternal care as possible. Not paternal care to the victims, paternal care to the guy who's tying up the boys. And he let it go. And so Kiesel stayed in the church another 2 years. Later, when he was defrocked, it's not clear if Ratzinger was the one who made that decision or someone else. But the last we saw was Ratzinger saying, no, I'm going to keep this guy inside the church. Now, can you guess whether Kiesel went on to molest other people? Of course! Here is Louis Van Blois, an attorney for one of the 6 people that Kiesel victimized. He said, according to him, Kiesel, quote, admitted molesting many children and bragged that he was the Pied Piper and said he tried to molest every child that sat on his lap. When asked how many children he had molested over the years, he said, tons. The longer they kept him inside that church, the more opportunity he had. And Ratzinger's main concern was not the victims. He's now Pope Benedict, of course. It was the reputation of the church and to make sure that Kiesel had paternal support. By the way, just in case some conservatives are going to go, so, aha, another homosexual. First of all, the kids were underaged. Second of all, he also molested girls. And finally, in 2004, after doing this over and over again, he was convicted of molesting a young girl in his home in 1995 and was sentenced to 6 years in state prison. So is Pope Benedict partly responsible for covering up these cases of pedophilia inside the church? Absolutely. This is now at least the third case. That is very clear evidence that he did it over and over again. They're going to continue to make excuses, but there's no excuse for it.
Maybe this is a little bit off, but maybe it doesn't even say it in the stories. But are there any, points of the story where parents come after these guys? Because I mean, in a normal situation, if it's just a guy down the street who's in the house that lights up when you look at the pedophile map, you come after the guy who's just molested your child. And if he's molested tons, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the title, maybe the priest title does it for him. Nobody came after this guy. There's no. I mean, and I'm not saying they should have, but this is what humans do. Some parents are like, "What did you do?" Or they hear it from their kids and they go after the guy, especially when he's been doing it for years and nothing has been done legally about it. Because you're a priest, you don't follow the law. I don't know. I feel like I don't know how this works.
Hey, listen, you're right. It doesn't say it in the story. And JR, I mean, I feel exactly how you feel. I mean, if somebody were to tie up someone I knew, boy or girl, or my boy or girl, we all have that same reaction, right or wrong. We have that reaction, right? But JR, it doesn't say, but it looks like nobody ever, laid their hands on him, as Kenyon Martin would say, right? And he kept on doing it all the way till convicted in 2004. That's just, man, this is what makes people paranoid too, man. There is real danger in the world. There are monsters that go bump in the night, and they're real people. And sometimes they live next to you, and sometimes they're your priest. And that's what scares you even more. All right, now, when we come back, one of the things we're going to discuss is what did George Bush and Dick Cheney and Don Rumsfeld know about the Guantanamo prisoners when they did nothing. All right, Young Turks.
Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand.
Back on the Young Turks. I got a lot of news stories for you guys today. But before we do anything else, what are you talking about? Boom, we got to do the TYT raffle, right? And you know what? I should thank a couple of members, too. So let's get a little organized here. Number one, I'm going with David Fish. I believe that's how it's pronounced, P-Y-S-H. He's a lieutenant. So, Dave, thanks so much. And let me pick a random member for you guys. Chris McCarthy, member number 927. Members make the show happen. You get the whole 3-hour show. You get the podcast. You know it. It rocks. Furthermore, we're giving away T-shirt, movie tickets, and one of these books about sex or financial reform or shock jocks. I think we got a good variety. So you get to pick one of those. For the new members that sign up every week, we're doing raffles every Friday, right? You see it? Are you nervous? If you're a member that signed up this week, your name is in here. Here we go. We should always have a drum roll, but I don't think we ever do. Okay. Giancarlo Giacomo is the winner. And let me tell you something.
Release the Kraken.
Okay. Listen, again, my obsession with the members' names. How cool is this name? Giancarlo Giacomo. I mean, that's as badass a name as you could possibly be. I mean, I don't know if you're the French guy or the Italian guy in the movie. You're the hitman, you're the jackal, you're the assassin. I'm putting you in a movie. That's what's happening. That's the other thing you won in the raffle. All right, so Giancarlo, if I'm pronouncing that right, email us, and or we might have your email. But anyway, we'll get you your selection of these books, your T-shirt, and your movie tickets, okay? So fun for everybody. All right, if for everybody signing up from now to next Friday, you're going to be in the new raffle. Think about it. You might want to. Should I do it?
Release the Kraken.
By the way, don't listen to Anna. It has a lot of life left.
It has more life left.
Many fitting situations for it. Come on, we went with the Germanic cry for years. Come on, let's calm down.
Okay, all right, we can do more. All right, now Tiger Woods. Remember we ran the frowny ad for you guys, and his dad is talking over the ad, and Tiger looks like this the whole time. Now there's like a million parodies online. We want to do one of our own, but we don't have it ready yet, right? No, okay, all right. But we won't tell you what it is. We could hopefully do it as a surprise for you next week. How optimistic I am next year. We're like, we got it! It's like 2012. Anyway, of course, people found what Earl Woods, his father, was actually talking about. It was a snippet from an interview that they laid over the ad. And the big revelation here is, it turns out he wasn't talking about Tiger. Of course! He's dead! How would he have known to say that to Tiger? I don't know why anybody's surprised by that. I'm like, that's news? That's so dumb, it's crazy. But anyway, let's play the interview for you guys so you see what he was actually talking about. I love when I get this from Dave, like.
Well, when I saw the headline, I was like, wait, nobody really thought that, Earl Woods had risen from the dead, like Tiger. I'm trying to figure out what you were thinking about when you were cheating on your wife. Seriously, this is how stupid people are. And every time somebody says you're totally underestimating the intelligence of the American people. Really? Am I? If we really thought this guy was talking to him about it right then? This is why these kind of ads work. When you guys had a problem with this ad, I was like, it's going to work because people are stupid. And then you'd be like, oh, look, he's frowning. Oh, look, he's contemplating. Oh, look, he's talking to his father.
Oh, my God, that's so touching. By the way, you're right. It turns out nearly 2/3 of those who voted in a Yahoo Sports poll, for whatever that's worth, and it's something, right, approved of that. They liked it. They're like, okay, yeah, you know what? Tiger's, chastened, and his dad gave him a talking to from up in heaven, and everything's going to be all right. All right, so here's the real interview.
A mixture of both, because when I play, I can see both of them in me. I am pretty fiery, but at times I'm very calm.
Authoritarian. Yeah. Tita is very authoritative. She is very definitive. Yes and no. I am more prone to be inquisitive, to promote discussion. I want to find out what your thinking was. I want to find out what your feelings are, and did you learn anything? So we're two different types, but we coexisted very well.
All right, there it is. So he was talking actually about Tiger's mom. I actually don't think the American people are that dumb. I think the press is that dumb. And they're like, oh, wow, it was actually about his mom. That's an amazing story. All right, anyway. So now you want to talk about an amazing story. Elizabeth Taylor getting married again and again and again. 9th time. Maybe the 9th time's a charm. She looks to be 1/8 of the size of her husband in that picture. She's getting married to Jason Winters. He's 49. She's 78. Apparently they've been dating since 2007. Look, you got to give her credit. She's got a lot of spunk left, apparently. She's thinking, you know what? I'm going to get me a younger man. She's a different generation of cougar. What does that make her? Like, I don't know, cheetah, leopard? No, saber-toothed tiger. She's almost extinct at this point. But she's still grabbing guys. She's like, Winters, come over here, dude. I got you in a headlock. Number 9 right here. So, hey, look, she's still having fun. Jason Winters, people around her, and she says he's a wonderful, wonderful guy, and he buys her things, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, if they're happy, I'm happy. I don't really care either way, but I'm amused by it. Elizabeth, keep going, man. You're almost in double digits. You would have, I guess the natural reaction I always have with that is, you would have figured that she would have soured on marriage by now. Like that whole till death do us part, probably feels goofy the 6th time around, let alone the 9th time around. But I guess she still likes it.
Makes you wonder what keeps going wrong. Is it them? I don't know. This is the 9th time. But then again, and what's different this time? I mean, I figure when people get married the first time, I see the the nerves. Or even the second time, there's the nerves. I'm like, oh my God, what's gonna happen 10 years down the road? How things gonna be different? How's she gonna look? How's she gonna act? Is she gonna be insane? Am I gonna find out something else about her? All this stuff. But the ninth time, do you even care anymore? And is anybody taking her money? I don't know. Does she have any left? I don't know.
Yeah, those are good questions. But, like when a 49-year-old guy marries a 78-year-old woman, you tend to think, is it about the money, especially when she's rich and famous, etc. But I don't know how much money Elizabeth Taylor has. Maybe she has a lot of money. I mean, in the story, they seem to imply that he was, taking care of her. That seems a little unbelievable, too. But look, to each their own. I mean, to me, she never made any sense because I'm with JR. I mean, you'd have thought wisen up by the 4th, 5th, or 8th time, but, I think she's one of those romantic types, and that's, I guess, what bothers me, because I'm a logical type, who's like, falls head over heels every time. And every time I think she thinks it's going to be magical, and it's going to be awesome, and she's got it figured out this time. And then come to find out, she didn't. And that it turns out that they're not compatible, and she gets divorced again. So it's a different way of living, and I don't want to judge her for it. It's just not what I think I would do. Like, I'd have trouble telling my friends. Like, the 7th time I'm getting married, guys, you're never going to believe this. I found the one. If I was that friend, I'd be like, let's wrap this up. Okay, look, here's what we're not doing again. Another wedding for you. Bachelor party, we're having a conversation. Okay. But anyway, all right, so that's Elizabeth Taylor. So now, going on to less famous couples, it's this guy named Brandon Davis, and he used to date Misha Barton. And, Misha Barton's fairly well known. Brandon Davis is known mainly for dating these people and also being incredibly obnoxious. He's the one that called Lindsay Lohan firecrotch. And if you remember our video on that from a couple of years ago, he was insanely obnoxious. Like, he's one of those guys in high school that are like the rich guys. I don't know if they're popular, but the ones that love to pick on other people. Like, yeah, look at her. She's got red head. She's got a fire crotch. And, we showed the video, and he's hanging out with Paris Hilton, and everything he says is loathsome. So now he's not going out with Misha Barton anymore, so he runs into her at a club, and he texts out, he twitters out, OMG. You know what that is? That's, oh my God, I'm so hip. Okay, anyway, he says, just realized my ex turned into one of the fattest people on the planet. This guy's always classy. And he says, I'm going to start dating plus-size models, not Misha the Heifer. Now, we showed pictures of Misha Heifer. Nice. You see that Freudian slip? Misha Barton the other day. Her thighs are slightly larger than the sticks that they were. Okay, and I guess in Hollywood world, that's being a heifer, right? I can't imagine what I am, right? So, but I don't care about the specifics of this. What I care about is Brandon Davis, okay? Why is he dating all these people? Why is he in the news? Why is this obnoxious ass, unfortunately part of our lives? Well, it turns out he's an oil heir. So I know I'm going to make it political. I am. So when the Republicans and the conservatives tell you tax cuts, tax cuts, tax cuts, Obama already cut taxes for everybody making under $250,000. As Britt Hume explained in a Fox segment, a couple of days ago, he's like, no, it's not good enough. You have to give tax cuts to the richest people in America that stimulate the economy. You know who it's going to? It's going to Brandon frickin' Davis. And he's blowing it in the clubs. He's not stimulating the economy. All he's trying to do is stimulate himself. And going around being one of the most obnoxious people in America. He's an oil heir. No, cut his estate taxes. No, you don't understand. His great-grandfather built a fortune, so this jerk can go around wasting it all over Hollywood. Okay, and we're supposed to feel sympathy for him? Oh, no, he's paying too much in estate taxes. No, paying too much in income tax. No, there is a grotesque disparity these days in America between the very, very rich and the rest of us. And maintaining that disparity ain't helping anybody. And the next time you hear somebody like Britt Hume or anybody else on Fox News telling you, no, you have to give more money to the rich and more tax cuts to the rich, think of Brandon Davis. All right, now, and by the way, all of them, and Paris Hilton, How does she make her money? They left it to her, et cetera, et cetera. You know, one quick thing before I move on. Do you know that the original Boston Tea Party, the one named after, you know, that these guys love, the Tea Party guys, et cetera, that was not to protest taxes on the colonies. It is a misinterpretation of what happened. When you know the real history, it's amazing. You know what they went to go protest and why they threw all that tea into the Boston Harbor? They were protesting tax cuts. You're going to say, what? Here's how it worked. They were local, they produced tea locally, right? And what the British government decided to do was give a giant tax cut to the East India Company, which was at the time, you know, this enormous multinational corporation in a way. And so they didn't have to pay as much taxes as the local tea guys. So the local tea farmers, et cetera, and distributors in America were enraged by that. And they said, why are the biggest corporation in probably the world at that time getting a tax cut and we don't? So they went in and threw their tea into the harbor. So the Tea Party guys adopted their name from an organization or from a movement and an event that was done to protest tax cuts for the richest people in the world. I mean, it is irony on top of irony. But they don't know history, so that they're blissfully ignorant. All right, now back to some. I'm going to keep bringing it down and make it a little less political. JR, do you have any idea how to pronounce Garcelle's last name? Garcelle. Do you know who it is?
You talking about? Well, I'm thinking whenever I hear Garcelle or Gabrielle, it's not Gabrielle, no, because that's other. Because then it's Garcelle. I've heard a couple times.
Bouvet.
Let's go with Bouvet because you know what? All this French stuff, I never took that.
Yeah,
I was a Spanish guy.
Yeah, I was a German guy. Ja, gut, sehr gut. Ja, schluben das. Ja, ich habe einen Geburtstag. My dad thought that more people do business in German because we grew up in Turkey, right? And so you should take a language that's going to be profitable. And so when it came to selecting languages, he's like, yeah, sehr good. Take German. You'll do a lot of international business with Germany. Didn't really work out that way. Every time I think of that, I should have taken Spanish. I'm the only brown-skinned guy in LA and Miami that doesn't speak Spanish. In Miami, everybody's like, what is this guy being a dick to us? Why does he speak Spanish? Obviously, he knows how. I'm like, no, I swear I don't. All I know is ich habe eine Bratwurst. So, anyway, all right, sorry. Garcelle Bouvet is an actress, and she's her husband is Mike Nyland, I guess, and it is also her agent, and he's an agent at one of the larger companies, the CAA, and she found out that he's cheating on her, and so she sent an email to the CAA offices, and it said, Tiger Woods, Jesse James, Mike Nyland. She said, what do they have in common? I found out today that my husband of almost 9 years has been having an affair for 5 years with some slut in Chicago. I am devastated. I have been duped. Our boys don't deserve this. So she's calling his ass out. And of course, that instantly leaked and is all over the internet. So I'm not sure that's how I would have handled it, but hey, look, I don't blame her or anything. I'm sensing a trend here. Yes.
See, this is what everyone's saying. They're like, oh, this is the year of the guys getting, that are cheating. It's like this was never any different. As we all, as we're finding out with all these things, they didn't just start cheating in 2009 and it just seeped into 2010. They've been cheating forever. I just found out he's been cheating since 2004. Well, yeah, that was happening 6 years ago. It's just now, I don't know what, either people aren't cleaning up their tracks or people are finally starting to realize that all these celebrities are not faithful. Or actually, what the thing is, the mistresses are coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah, you know why? I think it's fairly obvious. It's because now everything gets covered, and so they just grab a lot more attention. Like before, they might have been dismissed, but now it's like, oh my God, you're Tiger's 28th mistress? That's amazing, and they find a way to make money off of that. So now it's more profitable to reveal the affairs. At least for the mistresses.
If it wasn't for Twitter,
yeah.
these guys to be getting away with a lot more stuff.
And cell phone cameras and cell phones that capture the text, etc. So, all right, now we have the first female pitcher to play pro baseball in the U.S. Her name is Eri Yoshida. She comes from Japan, and she's going to be going to the Golden Baseball League and playing for the Chico Outlaws. She's 18 years old and apparently has a mean knuckleball that she learned from Tim Wakefield. She studied Wakefield, and then one day she met him, actually, and they had a conversation, and he helped her out and everything. This is the last you'll hear of her. I mean, what, is she going to make the majors? I mean, look, I'm all for equal opportunity. If she does, I'll love it, and I'll root for her. Not going to happen.
Is that part of the rule? I mean, are they allowed to? Or do they have to maybe develop a female? Like, okay, say we're talking about the girl who goes to Baylor, the 6'8", for some reason I'm blanking on her name. The basketball player. And then we have all these female basketball players. They have to create a different league for them. Because you're not going to throw in this girl to play in the NBA, which she wouldn't make it. I mean, this is
right.
I mean, we're talking in. Come on.
Yeah. Come on, keep it real. Keep it real.
Go on. But I don't think they can do that.
No. Nobody's interested in a female baseball league. I mean, look, they play softball, and that's fun for everybody. But I know I'm being an ass. But there's not going to be a different. But there's like 7 girls in the country who want to play professional baseball. No. And so if she can make it in the guys' league, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh, no way, man, over my dead body. No, if she can pitch and she has a good ERA, then welcome to the major leagues. Absolutely. It'd be a great, great story. I'm just being a little pessimistic and thinking it's probably not going to happen. It hasn't happened before. Doesn't mean it can't. It's just not likely. Keeping it real. Okay, so good luck to her, though. We're rooting for her. Okay, now, you know what? I should take a break. I got to take a quick break here, and then I hope I have time for some of these other great stories. Otherwise, we'll do them in the postgame. All right, come right back. Young Turks.